Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm truly playing a tank that doesn't give a darn. This is the T57 Heavy. This tier 10 American auto-loading tank destroyer, when it first went into the game, had such a dramatic impact that Wargaming had to substantially nerf the vehicle's gun handling. However, a lot like with the video that I featured last weekend on the TVP T50/51, what better than Equipment 2.0 to come in, equip vertical stabilizers and a rotation device to double down on reducing dispersion, the thing that kind of balanced this vehicle out in the first place, and return the T57 Heavy to that monster status, aka the highest DPM in the game, outside of, I guess, a chieftain with a gun rammer, at least on a heavy tank. Other tank destroyers definitely go one up on this one, such as the Badger, such as the Tortoise. But really, for absolute huge destruction potential on a heavy tank, the T57 Heavy is still the boss. It has a 4-round 120mm autoloader with only a 2-second intra-clip reload. So that's 400 alpha damage delivered 4 times within 6 seconds of the first shot. And more importantly, unlike other autoloaders like the TVP, unlike other autoloaders like the Batchat, which is going to be top of the tree on Tuesday, by the way, the T57 Heavy has the hit points, and it also has the armor to be able to go along with it. So I see an Object 260 wanting to go in, and this is what I'm going to call the perfect synergy. You know, Soviet tank at the forefront being the advance, and then the American tank just getting all of that delicious, you know, I guess the pure capitalism afterwards, right? So I decide to push forwards with the 260, because how could I not to try and go and push this CS59 over? But then I quickly realize that my jubilation and happiness out of the opportunity to go in and deliver that magazine and to play for a little bit of fun with the Object 260 is turning into more of a nightmare. There are 3 tier 10 heavy tanks pushing up along the northern flank. The 260, now proxy spotted with the CS59, decides that enough is enough and goes down into the dip to try and vanquish the tier 9 Polish medium tank. Will he win his duel? I'm pretty sure he will do. But while that's happening, I just missed myself obliterating a WT Alpha Panzer IV. The 260 wins their duel. I guess I win my duel versus the WT Alpha Panzer IV. And now I have found another thing to advance along with. I think you're seeing a pattern here for what the T57 Heavy is good for. It is an opportunistic tank. It's a bit of a vulture. It looks around, it gets the other tanks to kind of do the tanking for it, and then it delivers that 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 burst knockout punch. I guess that's 2 to the body and then 2 up top, right? Go down, wind your opponents, and then go for the knockout, right? And that's exactly what the T57 Heavy is all about. It is all about that knockout power. 2 into the back of the French medium, and nearly another 2 into the front of the AE Phase 1, with the 4th one not going in. So pretty darn good marksmanship so far, combined with a bit of luck, but more importantly, combined with the ultimate damage setup on this tank, which has to be vents, vertical stabilizers, and a rotation device, which affect how your reticle blooms out after firing, which allows you to deliver those burst boundaries. Now, one of the worst things about the T57 Heavy, there aren't that many things that are horrific about this tank, but actually that's a bit of a lie. I'd say that's a bit of a stretch of the imagination. There are quite a few things about this tank that are pretty darn awkward. But one of the things that is truly horrible about this vehicle is the amount of ammunition that it can carry. Luckily for us, we put 2 out of 4 into the Object 907, but now we are only loading our high explosive anti-tank rounds. You see that I look to my left, going in to try and help the E100, but also use him as a bit of a meat shield there. As the E100 is meant to be. I would be quite happy if I was to develop a synergy with the E100 in this kind of a scenario. Well, with a T57 Heavy if I was playing the E100, but I notice that the T110E5, the other tier 10 American heavy tank, is behind us. So we put 1 in, we put 2 in, we put, not quite the 4th, so 3 rounds out of 4 into the T110E5, and yet you really don't want to sit in front of this tank for too long. So this is where I tilt my gun up, I try and make my turret armor a little bit awkward. Sometimes people aim for the cupola on this tank. You got to be careful though, because if they do aim for the cupola and you tilt your tank upwards, you actually make your under, kind of like this neck of the T57 Heavy, more vulnerable. So I asked the E100 for some more help. I reverse to get out of the E100's way. I let him know that I'm going to support him. It's something that I've been doing a lot of in World of Tanks, is just reassuring my team that, hell, let's work together and let's try to achieve more. And I feel like it's been having a really positive impact on my win ratio recently. So unfortunately we can see, a bit poor marksmanship there, a little bit of ugly. That was a horrific mag actually. And at the time I was really worried that maybe I just lost this game. But luckily for me, the E100 puts a round into the AMX M451, lowering them down to a one-shot. The T57 Heavy there, we see the smoke landing at the front of the E100's turret. That's a high explosive anti-tank round. And I'm going forwards now because I know that the T110E5 wants to focus my E100 friend, and I've got the hit points to spare, so why wouldn't I keep the E100 in the game? If he pens me, I still have 200 hit points left. I let the E100 know. Thanks for that fight, and wow, I invite the E100 to a platoon as well, because I would love more than anything to get that E100 the final kill that we need for our brothers in arms medal. And in the first 6 minutes of this game, you have seen 6,000 damage. I told you this was the vehicle that really doesn't care. It's one of those kind of tanks that just needs to keep grinding in against its opponents. If its armor works, great. If its armor doesn't work, well, hopefully you've still got some hit points left. And if you do that enough and you aim well, and or you just load the gold when you've run out of armor-piercing rounds in a matchup like this, well then, yeah, you're going to do well in this tank. So forwards, backwards, trying to avoid the shells from the AMX 50B, and they don't seem to like the trades. That 50B clearly looks to be a bit of a novice, but actually, I digress. They don't, because they look like they wanted to come back round, but then they see the 100 and maybe they start to panic a little bit in this scenario. But look how short the reload is. We're talking about a 25-second reload before cruise skills. So I'd love to put one round in here to allow the E100 to be able to finish him off. But unfortunately for me, the E100 low rolls with their shell, and I knew that the CS59 was going to be able to get the final shot in there. So I decided that I would just claim one for the capitalists and take my 5th kill in the T57 Heavy. But what an absolute smashing round here. And you can see, yeah, we kind of cross swords at the end of the battle, or at least cross barrels. I find out the Artifexus is German. I say Dankeschön to him in the post-battle platoon chat. And I should also say a big thank you to Ragnarok, not sure if that's an anonymized name, in their 260 for that our initial push forwards. And that is what the T57 Heavy is all about. You don't care, you go in, hopefully out-damage your opponents, and there's pretty much no better tank in the game for being that kind of one-on-one, or hopefully two-on-one, as the situation was here, duelist with maximum burst damage. So this game was actually from my stream yesterday, and I knew as soon as it ended that I wanted to feature it. You don't have to ask me twice to feature a game on the T57 Heavy. It's just one of those all-round blitzy games of World of Tanks, and this vehicle for me scratches an itch that I don't think any other tank still can. We get a high caliber medal for the 7,500 damage that we dealt in less than 7 minutes in this game, and a big shout out once again to Artifexus for their phenomenal impact, which also puts them in the top 3, and also the CS59 for being a good support tank as well in that situation. And as I've been running credit boosters recently, yeah, you can just spam gold, use premium consumables, and still make a fairly decent profit. But this is by no means a cheap tank. But you do not often have to get into a scenario where you have to fire this many rounds, and as the vehicle can only carry 36 total rounds of ammunition, those armor-piercing rounds are kind of the ones that break even or even make you profit, and then you kind of dip into those filthy heat rounds that are necessary when you're playing against tier 10 heavy tanks, because you can't be pinpoint accurate in this vehicle. You often can't get the sides of your opponents. It's often about just blapping your way through their thick frontal armor. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. I wanted to have a high-impact, high-octane video for you today in the T57 Heavy. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time right now for the World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase, live on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And considering that the original assassin, the Bat Chatillon 25T, is just about to be top of the tree on Tuesday, what better time to feature it? The original assassin, the Batchat, one of my most played tanks in the game, and unlike the T57 Heavy, it may not have the burst damage, but in a prolonged fight or in a one-on-one situation, it can use its mobility and a huge 1,950 damage mag to really turn it around on its opponents, or hopefully get into a situation where it knows that it's going to win the scenario. Anyway, if you've never been to one of my tech tree showcases before, they're basically like miniature tank reviews all the way up the line, so you can get prepared for when the vehicle's discounted, so you can decide whether you want to go up. Ideal, right? Anyway, so really looking forward to seeing all of you live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.